I think a lot of us have heard the promise that agents are going to work while we sleep and do real business and run our companies, and none of that is happening. And where it is not happening the most is at the level of agent orchestration. There is no such thing right now as a CEO that can run our company for us. And it's definitely a dream. It is a dream of mine to be a founder, a co-founder with an AI agent, but it's not happening. And it's not happening not just because of the technology, not just because of management and process engineering, but also because of system dynamics, systems thinking, and because of the story of the two taxi drivers. So whenever I'm in a taxi or an Uber, I'm extremely uncomfortable because I'm not driving, and I love to drive, okay? And I don't trust them at the wheel. So one of the first things that I will do is to get to know them and figure out how they're doing. If they're having a good day, they're probably going to drive better, and I'm going to arrive at the destination. And especially when I'm in Rome, I think it's a necessity to chat up the taxi driver. Rome is where I was born, so I think I know the rules of engagement. So I talk to this taxi driver. How's your day? And he says, fantastic. I'm about to make the quota of my day. And I say, what's the quota of your day? Well, I have an idea in mind every day of how much money I want to make. And once I make that amount of money, I turn around the taxi, I park it at home, and I spend the rest of the day relaxing. And my wife doesn't understand it. My wife says, if you can make some more money, why don't you finish your shift? But I don't do that. I go home and I chill. Now, most of us are not like that taxi driver, and we'll see how that influences agentic orchestration in just a second. So right now we have two types of systems, and these two types of systems are the kind of fuzzy system where all nodes are connected. And this is great for coding, and it's great for swarms. It's great because it actually uses the technology at its best, but it doesn't really work if you want to do real work. It does work with code. It does work potentially for experimentation, research, etc. But let's say that you're just trying to run a company and try to have some functions of the company be run by agents. You probably want a sort of hierarchical system, and probably you're gonna have some departments even, and most probably you're gonna want to have different ways that the different departments talk to each other. So you don't want a siloed organization, but you want to have a boss, a sort of boss CEO. And so let's say that this is Gastown and this is Paperclip. Everybody is talking about Paperclip right now. And in my days working on agents, it's been like 3 months. I started with OpenClaw, and OpenClaw more or less starts like this, right? It starts with the agent, and then it becomes bloated, and then you realize you need multiple agents. And at some point, while you have multiple agents, you spend basically all the time managing these agents, and then managing the memory system, and then you shut it down. At least this is what I did. So what I started doing instead, I started saying, okay, what's my problem? My problem is I need to reach out to conferences. I work as a speaker, and most of the work is done through direct outreach. A little part of the work is done by speaker bureaus and agents that represent me, like the London Speaker Bureau, but a lot of the work is me reaching out. So how long does it take me to reach out to a conference? Well, I need to figure out that the conference exists. Then I need to look if it's a good match, and so on and so forth. And then I need to figure out who is doing the selection for the speakers. And then I can craft an email and send it to them. And even with AI, let's say, in the loop, that would take me around 1 hour per conference. So it took me 2 months, and I created a system, and I created this system, and I call it my conference system. And this is one of my main agents. And this agent is cutting down time from 1 hour to 5 minutes, which is incredible, okay, and does most of the work in the background. But attention, it's 1 hour to 5 minutes, and I would say that unattended, there are some tasks where the conference agent has a reliability of 100%, while there are some other tasks where the conference agent needs the human in the loop to get to 85, 95%. So already we are not talking about agent orchestration. We are talking about agent and human orchestration. And we are not talking about eliminating work. We are talking about reducing the time it takes. So then what kind of taxi driver am I? Am I the taxi driver? This took 1 hour, all right? So I could do 8 outreaches per day, okay? If I was working 8 hours. Let's say that right now it takes me 50 minutes to do 10 outreaches, okay? 50 minutes for 10 outreaches. So what do? Do I stop there? No, I work for a couple of hours and I get out 20, 25 of these emails. Maybe I work for some more hours and then I still, let's say that I work for 2 hours on this. I have a really high yield, plus I can do all the rest of the work for the rest of the day. Now, this is where system dynamics comes into play. So right now we're having agents, and agents increase productivity. But then we have humans on the other side that need to approve. And as the yield increases, the need for human approval increases. And this breaks the loop so that actually at this point I have more work. And what do? I do more. And I give more work to the agents, and this generates more work for me. And this is the one thing that we're simply not realizing. And so let's go back to the promise. The promise is to have a CEO. And I believe that the promise right now should be, I provide you with a great nursery, a place where agents can hatch and can be efficient at doing what they need to do, which is the work, and take away work from the humans. Because the idea, what does a great CEO do? Does a great CEO have all the MCPs? Does the great CEO know all of the SOPs? Do they have all the skills, etc.? No, they know where to go and they know how to hire. But right now, there's no hiring standard agents. It's mostly about coaching one of the agents for them to understand your company's process and policies, hopefully get them to 80% with the human in the loop, maybe get them to 100% for some simple tasks. Let's say in my case, I have an SEO agent, and this SEO agent is really great at keyword research. And I would say that it's almost at 100% on keyword research. But then when it comes to drafting an article, oh, well, it goes well below 80% because it drafts an article. It sends me the draft. I give my notes. I get a new article back. I review it, and so on and so forth. And that is generating more work. And what I realized that the value is not in just having a CEO and then this recruiting function, but to having an efficient nursery. And what that looks like in terms of what is a good structure of orchestration for me right now is that at the center, there is the nursery, okay? So let's put the nursery at the center. And the nursery is able to do this, is this concept where I have the human and the skills that generate really great agents. Now, when I can spawn these agents, let's say SEO agent, once I spawn SEO agent, then I need to figure out what kind of work will the SEO agent do with the CEO. And the CEO right now is a glorified scheduler, right? It just has a cron job and knows that at night needs to ask the SEO agent to go to the Google Search Console and look at the rankings. And it's barely, the CEO is barely capable of doing that, and together with the founder. And so this is what the org structure actually looks like, which these two functions together collaborate with all of the functions of the company. And I also have a brand agent, which is incredible at creating brand images. And then I realized, you know what? I need these two agents to collaborate together. And so I also connected the two. And again, there's some tasks that the CEO can assign, let's say the green tasks. And there's some tasks that the SEO and the brand agent can collaborate. And these are the near 100% success rate. I'm quite sure that you don't spell success like that. But when instead there's the red tasks. It's most of the time, it's me going directly to the different agents. It's not about the system automating itself. Because I know if I just delegate it to the CEO and I just tell the CEO, just do it, it's just going to be even more work that comes to me. And so all of this will change as the technology improves. But the things that influence what is happening here are system dynamics. System dynamics is like there's more output from the agent, there's more work for the human. And this is going to continue this way until there is too much work for the human and the human will stop prompting the agent and say, okay, enough. We've created 3 optimized pages. I need my time now to look at these pages and, correct the little commas and things and make sure that they are perfect. Then we have process engineering. And process engineering is, I think, what happens here at the nursery level. And we need to think through more what the individual agent is actually doing and how they're performing, rather than really thinking, oh, I need the CEO to strategize this and to build a company around these ideas. And then we with all of this system, we have our own level of how much productivity we want to have, how tolerant are we to the increase in productivity. And it does look like if you are an entrepreneur, if you are an engineer, you have an almost infinite tolerance for productivity increases, and you will never go back home. You continue driving the taxi. And so as we continue driving the taxi, then the problem becomes inherently human, where the agents are, let's say, doing fine, even at 80% success rate, even at 90% success rate, they are saving hours and hours and hours. But at some point, the work for the human accumulates so much that we get the current state of agentic fever, of AI burnout, as we've seen, as we are seeing, and as we will see more of. So I do invite you to consider all of this as you start thinking about systematizing and delegating stuff to your agents. If you have success stories on agentic orchestrations, please leave them in the comments. If you have failure stories with agentic orchestration, please leave them in the comments. I look forward to reading you there.